Hey guys, this is Hetu and welcome back to etlqalabs. So uh, today we will try to look at some of the interview questions that I have received on over the email. So these are the five, six questions basically that one of my YouTube subscribers has sent it via email, and she said that she is currently attending the interviews and she is facing some challenges with regards to these questions basically, and I am sure that these are not only her questions. I think uh, these are very genuine and I think a good level of questions that you might also expect it, and some of you already might be facing it, right? So I thought that I will cover all these questions that she has asked, right? So let's try to see each of them and then see what could be the possible answer, right, for these questions. All right, so let's start then. Yeah, so first question is how huge would be data warehouse database exam size in most of the projects, right? So the first question, to answer this first question, right? I mean, this is really very I mean, it depends on a lot of factors, right? So all the data warehousing projects are not of the same size, right? First of all, and uh, so the typical range, right? I mean, it again depends on the volume of the data you would like to hold and kind of organization that you are working, right? So, for example, if you say that you are actually working for Walmart, right, which is Walmart is a huge um, uh, retail company, right? And then the size of the data warehouse there would go into petabyte and more than that even, right? Exabyte, petabyte, gigabyte, right? All those size it can cross, right? So but normally in most of the projects I would expect that it could range from 500 GB to 1 petabyte maybe. Okay, so this is what could be the size basically. But again, I said that this is very open-ended question, and it may not have definite answer for this. But yeah, this could be the range basically. You can say that, right? All right. Now, just to summarize it, guys. Okay, so let me say it right. So some of you, I just want to give you some idea like how much is 1 petabyte, right? So, uh, so guys, we have gigabyte, we have terabyte, and then we have petabyte. Okay, we have some other, zettabyte and other measurements, but we are not going there. All right, we'll start from here, right? So 1 GB, basically gigabyte, is equivalent to 1000 MB, right? Megabyte, all right? And 1 terabyte is again 1000 GB, all right? And then 1 petabyte is 1000 TB, okay? So just to simplify this, I know that many of you know already, but I thought that I will cover it, right? So the typical range can go into this range, right? 500 GB to 1 petabyte. So this is the range basically, right? So yes, guys, I think this could be the answer, yeah, for this question. All right. Now the second question is staging database and data warehouse would be same database, right? So this question is a bit of, again, there is this is again open-ended question, right, guys? So see, first of all, what is staging that we need to understand, guys, right? So let me show you first. We have source here, okay? Source could be multiple sources, right? Multiple source systems, all right? And then what will happen is data will be moved to staging, right? Staging is just a temporary arrangement. That's where we are actually storing the database, right? Data. So staging area, that I would say. And then finally what will happen is from staging area, the data will be moved to target system, right? Target system, that's where we want to load the data, right? All right. So what happens is this particular staging area, there are, so it is not important that every project will have the staging areas, okay? So there are smaller projects wherein we have the less number of source systems. We don't really need the staging area basically, okay? And again the data volume etc. Based on that we don't need it. But in a typical good project, good size project, you will have the staging area, right? So let's talk about the staging area, guys. What is the purpose of the staging area, right? Actually, we will try to see the feature and the function of the staging area first of all, right? So, so staging area, okay, staging area is basically is uh, is a storage area or the storage systems. That's where the all the data from the multiple source systems are basically dumped into here, right? So this area, everything that is coming from the multiple source systems will be dumped it. So this could be the source system, could be relational database, or it can be flat file, it can be any kind of different file systems. Every data, possible data that will be extracted from here will be dumped into staging area, okay, irrespective of the data. So staging area, again, staging area could be relational database, all right, could be relational, or could also be file based systems, guys, okay, file based systems as well. It's not mandatory that all the staging area will be the databases, right? Okay, it again depends, right, at the project. But yes, most of the projects will be having the staging staging area at the database. Because if we have the target database, then we can actually go for the staging area with the same database, basically on the same database, right? So it's easier, right? And you know that maintaining the staging area is very important, because um, what all the functions we have to basically, what all the things that we achieve using the staging area is, first of all, what is the purpose of the staging area, basically we will try to understand, guys, right? So first what we understood is staging area could be a database and could be relational, could be the file based system, also relational database or the file based system. It's not mandatory that all the time staging area will be database, okay? Even if your source systems are the database and target system is also database, staging area could be a file based system, guys, okay? So this is also a possibility. So this staging area is not dependent on your source and target, okay? It can be whatever is designed based on the data modeling team and based on the project's requirement, guys, okay? Now, what is the purpose of the staging area, first of all? So first thing what we do is basically we do the consolidation, right? As I mentioned, that consolidation of the data from the multiple source systems is basically uh, done using the staging area. So every data that is extracted from the source systems is kept onto the staging area, it dumped onto a staging area, right, for the further processing, right? So this is the first thing. Second thing is the data alignment, guys, okay? So what is that? Alignment, right? Alignment, when I say, I mean that the alignment is basically, let's say I have the date field coming from two systems. So let's say I have for example, I have customer information coming, right? So it is coming from, let's say, table, okay? And another customer information is coming from customer CSV file, okay? But here the structure, I mean the format of the the what I will say, the sales date, okay? Sales date is one of the field here, and here also let's say I have sales date field, okay? So here the structure of the date may be dd YY, okay, here. But here it may be possible that we say that DD and YY, that's it, right? So what will happen is basically when actually we load into the target, it will be having the different format, right? So all this formatting has to be done. So what we do is in staging area, basically before we load even, right? I mean we can actually do this formatting things, right? So that's what the alignment, right? So we align the data in a standardized format, right? So standardization of the data, I would say, standardization standardization of source data, right? This is what we do here, right? Now, this is the second, the purpose, right? The third purpose is basically the data contention, right? So minimizing the contention, basically. Minimizing the contention. So what does it mean by contention, guys? Contention means basically to minimizing, right? Okay. Contention is basically to reduce reduce the frequent reduce the frequent access extraction of excess of source data, right? Source data. So what we do basically, we basically extract the data at once, right? We extract the data at once, and then we actually store, right? So that once the data is available in the staging area, we can use it whenever we want, right? So um, let's say in this case, okay, I have two target system, as in I say that let's say some customer data is coming in and multiple source systems, obviously, right? What will happen is something like this. I'll show you source, and then you have, let's say, target. Okay, target one. Okay, I have one target here. Target one can be let's say data warehouse. Okay, and again sources. Then I have another target 2. Okay, this can be ODS, guys. Okay, operational data store, right? This is another place, and I would like to load the same data here as well, right? Here also sources. Okay, now what will happen is these are the two target system. That's where actually I need to load the data. Okay, so what will happen now, here we have to design the two different job for this, right? One will be basically loading into, so here we do not have, we have source and target only, we do not have staging here, right? What we have to do is basically we have to design two jobs, and there will be when these two jobs will be running, it will be extracting the data from the source system different two times, right? Because there are two jobs, right, loading here. Now instead of that, what will happen is we are actually extracting the data two times, which is I mean, just giving example, but this is basically putting the load on your production system. Ideally, the source systems are the production systems, right? And so to avoid this, what I can do is instead of that, I can design using staging area, guys, right? Staging, right? What will happen is, so once staging is done, okay, from target 1. So once I put the data into the staging, I can actually send it to target 1, and then I can also send it to target 2, right? I don't need to go back again to source to extract the data, right? So because everything is here, right? So this is what the purpose of the staging area. So we can actually minimize the contention, right? Now the I will take the fourth function or the fourth feature of the staging area is basically to again to independently schedule, right? Scheduling of the jobs which are running on the multiple. So let's say I have APAC, I have EMEA, and then I have US, right? They are the three normally three regions, right? That's how we operate, right? 24 by 7. So APAC is basically Asia Pacific, EMEA is Europe, Middle East, and then US is US time zone, right? And there are jobs which are basically actually um the these jobs are actually fetching the data from the source systems, right? Source systems. What is happening is all the source systems are same, but the data load that I need to do is basically I can, so I'll just tell you, okay. Now let's say I have this. I'll just take it. Okay, I'll take this example now. All right. Now I got the staging area, and here I got APAC, EMEA, and US. All the three regions data already is here, right? So I actually ran it, and this staging um, job is already completed here now. In terms of loading this, right? So target one will be, let's say, APAC. and then again target 2 will be EMEA, all right, and similarly target 3 will be USA, right? These jobs, there are 3 jobs basically, right? Okay, now let me just make it little bit presentable. All right, now what will happen is, see, up to here single job, right? But to load this data, I cannot load at once, right? So what I need to do, I need to schedule this job basically, right? This pipeline, okay? So APAC should be running when the APAC is closed, right? Normally we run the data warehousing jobs at the end of the day, right? At the end of the business day, so that it will not impact, the production system, right? So this will be done end of business day, APAC, right? Now this will be again end of day EMEA, means Europe, when the market is closed, right? So we have to actually load these 3 different jobs. I mean, basically this is the same, right? The same data, but these 3 different target system will be populated based on that different times, right? So what can happen is, if so in this case we don't want to go back again and extract the data for this. Rather, I will extract the data once and then I will load into different time zones on a different scheduling zones, right? So this is another advantage, guys. Okay. Now, what I can see is another thing is, I will say, change data capture, guys. CDC, right? CDC. So change data capture. When I say change data capture, guys, it is the very much the same concept that I said that before, right? So change data capture is basically what is incremental load, isn't it? Incremental load. How do we handle the incremental load, right? So let's say I have loaded the full load today, and from tomorrow onward, I am not expecting the full load. Actually, I am expecting only incremental data which is changed, basically, right? So what will happen? I will be getting the same file tomorrow also, but there will be some changes in that particular file, right? So what I would like to do, I would not like to, overwrite the previous day load. What I will check it, I would like to check which are the new records or which are the change record. Only those records will be loaded into my warehouse, right? So this CDC will be helpful. So staging area will be helpful when the source system is not able to properly, send us, or I would say, cannot support the reliable form of change detection, right? When source cannot do, in that case, staging area will be helpful. And staging area will be compared with your target system, and then whatever is, updates or the new records, that only uh, records will be written into the target table, right? So this is the another feature. So these are some of the features, guys, I just wanted to cover as part of that question, right? So keep it in mind. The questions for this could be, please explain the concept of staging area, and what is the purpose of staging area, and why do we do that, right? And is it really required in all the projects, right? So everything I have explained, guys, here. So keep this in mind, and then this will be really helpful to understand, right? Now, the third question is, suppose flat file data is loaded into staging area, then source data validation can be done at staging area. Okay, sorry. So then source data validation can be done as staging area. And what is the purpose of validation of flat file using the Unix command? Okay. So guys, this is, as I said, that the staging area is not always the relational database, right? The staging area can also be the flat file, right? That's where we are loading, right? In that case, you definitely need the Linux commands, right? And there are projects where you don't have the staging area at all, right? In that case, you obviously have to use the Linux, right? So it's not mandatory that every project will have a staging area, right? It can, the projects can be without the staging area. So Linux command is not just to, validate the files based systems. It is also important to know that Linux, most of the systems now are actually hosted on Linux, right? And even your Informatica and other the big databases etc. is hosted on Linux, right? So it's very important that you know that how to operate and how to handle using Linux, right? Unix command. So but yeah, to answer the question that you have said, that what is the use of Linux command, it's basically in certain cases might be that let's say you already have a staging area and you have the staging area, the database also, then you can actually use staging minus what do you say, the target, which is again database, right? You can do it. But when it comes to tracing some of the records, let's say something is missing, then you will obviously want to go back and check with the source system, right? And source system may happen that it is coming from the relation flat file. Then in that case, what you will do, you have to use the Linux command anyways, right? So this is the purpose again, right? So to answer this question, yeah. So you might have to use this, right? Now, fourth question is explain about your project. Can you give one more example other than migration project? Okay. So yeah, guys, there could be multiple different kind of projects. So one of the migration project that I have explained before. Other than that, you can, if you have worked on the projects, data warehousing projects, basically, you can also explain them that you have built a data warehousing project to do the reporting for your sales growth, etc., right? And that's where you have designed the fact, you have actually the your project designed using the um, what do you say, that using the fact and dimensional, using the dimensional modeling, your database warehouse projects, you can explain all those things if you have worked on it. But yeah, I mean, I cannot tell you that you have to explain this only. It's again depends what kind of project you have worked on. Yeah. Now, the fifth question is, if migration project, what would be duration of migration project from Sybase to Oracle? This is again open-ended question, guys. Yeah, but roughly, I would say that it can take. I mean, normally these projects, migration projects, will be having already the historical data. So there could be. Let me just help you with that, right? So let's say I have already a data warehouse. I'm assuming that this migration project is data warehousing projects, okay? The source systems, okay? And then you already have ETL designed here, and then after that you have here the Sybase, right? Okay. Now this migration project, what we are actually doing is instead of loading the data, so this is already the ETL process which is designed, okay? And this is already in production, okay? This is already loading the data in the Sybase database, okay? And there is a huge amount of data already there. Let's say already 10 years data is there. Now what I want to do is, as part of this migration, okay, okay, 1 second, guys. Okay, as part of migration projects, basically, we want to we don't want to impact anything around the source. We just want to replace this with Oracle. Okay, so this will be the strategic. Let's say strategic strategic. Okay, and guys, this is also a legacy, I would say. Okay, so these are the certain you know um, things that you need to know. So the system which is already existing and running since long, or since which is in production, we call those systems or those processes as a legacy process or legacy system, right? And also the production, because it is already in production right now, correct? So this is called legacy data warehouse. And now, whatever we are building is new one. We are actually doing it based on certain strategic, planning, right? So that's why we are calling them the new one, which we are designing is called the strategic. So this is still maybe in the test, right? This is still in the design phase, right? Or development, whatever it may be. It may be, right? And they are called the strategic systems, right? Now, what will happen is, as part of this, guys, okay, new, right? what we have to do is we have to actually do two things. One thing is to replace all the ETL jobs which are actually populating into Sybase data warehouse, right? This is data warehouse, guys. Okay, not database, data warehouse. Okay, you have to build data warehouse. Everything, all the ETL jobs has to be replaced and has to be configured, and new jobs has to be created, right? For that, those jobs also need to be tested first of all, whether they are actually working as so. Basically, how the Sybase, how this particular system is behaving and loading the data in Sybase database. Similar way, this also system. So I will say system two. Okay, system number two, and this is system number one, right? System number one. Okay. System 1 should be actually behaving same as system 2, right? So this entire process, right, should be working as same. One thing. Second thing is, what about this 10 years old data, right? So this data also has to be migrated from Sybase to Oracle, right? So Oracle database is already there, data warehouse. That's where we have to migrate this. And after migration, we also have to test data, right? So this is what the data migration projects, when I say the data migration project, there could be different things also. There could be only data migration project, right? Uh, Data migration wherein we don't have any existing ETL system. It's just a data migration. So there is a Sybase database where data is there and we simply want to migrate it. We don't have data warehousing concepts here. So that is different case, okay? But you have to explain this kind of things, right? Basically when I say the data migration, database migration projects, right? Now what will happen is, now once you are done with this thing, so normally typically if you say that this 10 years data etc, I think you can roughly say that 1.5 to 2 years maybe, or 1 to 2 years you can say, guys. Okay, 1 to 2 years. Okay, 1 to 2 years or 1.5 also, because nowadays people are working into agile methodology, right? So the things can be little faster, but you can say that the typical duration is 1 to 2 years basically for the migration project. But again, this is again based on data and complexity and number of jobs and everything. As I given you example, right? The data migration project for Walmart and data migration projects for a small company, a small little company might have the huge difference, right? So as I said that it's again subjective, but I mean this is what you can say that. All right. Now, when source system is having both CSV files and database, and then how is the data extracted to staging? And we don't know, we can't combine data of both, and how to transform. Okay, guys. So I think I got this. Okay. So whether we should create temporary table export, then we should combine the data and temporary table data to the staging. No, guys. Okay. So what will happen is, if you, I'm not sure you have looked at when I have explained the um, joiner transformation in Informatica, right? So guys, so the very purpose of data warehouse is basically to support the multiple source systems, right? So your question here is say that it's actually, we can have the multiple different kind of source systems, right? Maybe CSV, maybe Excel, maybe a database, etc. It doesn't matter, right? So this question is basically, I think, a bit of uh, you know uh, not in proper way, I would say. So we can have the multiple source system. Okay, everything can be loaded into staging. Okay, so staging can support everything. That is what the purpose of staging, right? As I said that the data will be coming from multiple source system. It will be having everything loaded into staging area. Staging area is nothing but that's where we are actually capturing the data from multiple source systems, right here. And then from there the data distribution will happen based on the need, right? So yeah, I mean, I hope that you are able to understand what I mean to say, right? So you can have and then staging variable will be staging will be supporting, right? You don't need to do this temporary table extract, export, and all this, especially when you are using the Informatica tool. I think it's a very easy to do it, and this is how we do basically, right? So there is no other way to do it, right? So that's all I think, guys, for this particular session. And really, I thought that these questions are really good question, I think. And sometime these questions are confusing too as well. Not to the you know you know junior members, also to some senior members also, right? So some people may get confused also. I mean, these questions are tricky questions as well, right? So I hope that I was able to answer these questions, and I hope that in the next attempt of your interview, if you came across this kind of question, you should be able to answer more confidently. And yeah, so that's all for this video, guys, and I'll see you soon with the next set of videos. And do check out other playlist as well that I've created, and share with your friends also so they can also get benefited. And yes, guys, I think this is what I wanted to cover. And until then, I come up with the next video. Until then, I'll say happy learning, and God bless you. Bye.